Sometimes I like to eat food and look at banana. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm just a wagga 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 wiggy woogie. Wagga 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 wagga. I don't know what he's expecting in here. In the ruins of CIT. This is not a door that I can go through. Keep watch for any doors, I guess. That might lead the way. Apparently he's in here. Incoming with the technology. I'm there.
Son,
Father.
In all my years, I've never set foot outside the Institute. Not once. Since the day they brought me here. I've never had a reason. But now, this just confirms the truth I've always known. The Commonwealth is dead. There's no future here. The only hope for humanity lies below.
It's not so bad, really. People manage.
Perhaps. But at a cost too great to be worth it. Standing here, I'm reminded of how fortunate I am that I was spared a life in this wasteland. I know that to you, I was kidnapped from that vault. In truth, the Institute rescued me. Both of us, really.
Kellogg called me the backup.
Did he? Well, he was correct. I was the perfect candidate. An infant with uncorrupted DNA. But if something were to go wrong, if I died, well, the Institute realized a contingency plan was prudent. Another source of pre-war DNA, preferably related to their primary subject. It only made sense that my parents should fill that role. So you were kept alive and safe within the vault. I'll admit, when I had you released from Vault 111, I had no expectations that you'd survive out here in all this. To not only do so, but manage to find me. To infiltrate the Institute itself. Extraordinary.
Why let me out now? After all this time.
Well, that's hard to explain. Certainly it was no longer necessary to keep you suspended. Well, I suppose I wanted to see what would happen. An experiment of sorts. I had no idea what kind of man you were, you see. Would the Commonwealth corrupt you, as it has everything else? Would you even survive? Perhaps most curious to me, would you, after all this time, attempt to find me? And now I know the answer.
Go for the lovey-dovey shit.
Sean, you need to know. I still love you.
I can see that you do. Well, it's remarkable. There are greater things to come after your success at Bunker Hill. The synths have been safely returned and will be repurposed. Thank you for your work. I hope you weren't at too much risk.
What do you mean, the synths will be repurposed?
Modifications will be made to correct the defects in their programming, and they'll be assigned to new duties within the Institute. Not the first or last time it will happen. The Railroad remains an annoyance, of course, but they'll be dealt with as necessary. And you, well, you've passed the test, as they say. You have done well. Please, take this as a token of my appreciation. Our appreciation, really. It's time for you to become
500
one
bottle
part of the
caps.
future of the Institute. I'd like you to join me inside. The Directorate is meeting, and you should be there. I'll be waiting. I've seen enough. It's time to go back in.
This is going to be a long stream. Maybe a little bit longer than the last one. Not even sure how long I've been streaming since I started this one.
From what I hear, that rogue synth Cortaya was a real menace. Glad it's back working well.
I apologize for any disruptions that might
Sean.
cause
Let's get this Directorate meeting over with before we speak further. Well, it's important.
I'll admit, the Institute is fucking badass. Kinda dickish in their ways of doing things, but still badass, to say the least.
Let's get this Directorate meeting over with before we speak further. Well, it's important.
Didn't even call upon you, but okay.
Unit X688 speaks highly of your combat skills.
Good, we're all here. I think it's time we begin.
Sir, excuse me, but what exactly is he doing here?
I will address that issue. But there are other subjects that require our attention first. The level of unrest in the Commonwealth continues to rise, as we're all aware. Your report.
All Institute facilities remain completely secure with the exception of one notable breach. Otherwise, internally things are as tight as they've ever been. Dr. Ao has been keeping an eye on things topside.
Yes, Watchers show no additional threats beyond those previously identified. We're still monitoring the increased activity around Fort Independence, but there are no immediate signs we should be concerned. Boston International Airport remains occupied, with Brotherhood presence noted at several other points throughout the Commonwealth. Intelligence suggests that this railroad continues to operate and is becoming more ambitious. SRB agents are monitoring all known situations, sir.
Very good, thank you. It's clear that our safety needs to be the primary concern going forward. To that end, where are we on Phase 3?
Sir, are you sure this is the time to be discussing it? Given, well, considering all parties present?
Ah, yes, that's true. Have you heard anything about Phase 3?
I have no idea what that is.
I'll admit I'm relieved. It's intended to be something of a classified project, which I'm sure means everyone already knows about it. Power is, as I'm sure you've seen above ground, a very valuable commodity. I'm not talking about some abstract concept of control. I mean real, tangible power. The kind that keeps the lights on. With every advance the Institute makes, our need for raw power increases. Many compromises and sacrifices have been made over the years to allow progress to continue.
What kind of compromises?
We have at times had to rely on drawing power from above-ground installations. It risks personnel and equipment, but no longer. Phase 3 is simply the activation of a nuclear reactor that can provide enough power to the Institute now and forever. It will ensure not just our survival, but our prosperity. It was originally built for the Commonwealth Institute of Technology before the war, but was only for testing. Over the years, we've advanced the technology, made a great many improvements, and are finally nearly ready to activate. The reactor is close to ready, but recent tests... Thus, we come to Phase 3, and to how you will help.
Sir.
Yes, Dr. Ayer. Previous operations, yes? Well, he is gone. While I'm not overly fond of putting my own father in harm's way, he has proven more than capable of handling himself.
Yes, but...
This is not a matter for debate. Now, there is one more subject that requires discussion.
I don't know that this is the time.
Dr. Holdren, it is time. Please. As I'm sure several of you are already aware, I have been under Dr. Volkert's care for some time. I'm sorry, this is difficult for me. Our best efforts have failed. Every experimental treatment we could devise has been unsuccessful. I'm sorry to say I am dying.
What?
Please, everyone, please. I am sorry. This is not how I wanted to tell you, but we're running out of time.
You're dying?
I'm afraid so. A very aggressive form of cancer. Believe me when I say we've done everything we can. We can talk more later. Right now, the future of the Institute is at stake. The Institute cannot survive without leadership. The Director has the best interest of all in mind. To that end, I am naming my father as my successor.
Oh, boy.
You can't be serious!
Really? Seems a poor choice.
How can you possibly justify this? He isn't one of us. He isn't even a scientist.
Ignoring your borderline, insubordinate tone, I will simply say this. The Institute has enough scientists. What it needs is a leader. I believe my father has already proven himself more than capable in that regard. This will conclude this meeting. Thank you.
Dr. Carlin's doing some amazing things with our genetically engineered...
That's fucked. God
We don't
damn.
usually welcome outsiders.
He just met his own son after all these fucking years. After all this time, and he's dying.
I had no idea.
I know this is... well, it's a lot to take in at once. I'm sorry, Father. I hope it wasn't too presumptuous of me to put you in charge without even asking first.
What would it mean to be in charge?
Most divisions of the Institute are fairly autonomous, perfectly capable of functioning without intervention. Where those divisions interact, however, problems can arise. You'd lead the Directorate in setting policy, resolving disputes, and the like. There's no question that some of the Directorate, and the Institute at large, will need reassurances about your appointment. That's why I'd like you to take charge of this latest operation. Dr. Fillmore can fill you in on the details. There are hard decisions ahead, for all of us. But for you especially.